I'd like to get to the other side of the panel because I'm just to switch it up a little bit, I'm interested in the way an entrepreneurial spirit has to be brought to every endeavor that one undertakes, whether you're in the public sector or the private sector. We have somebody on the panel who worked for a long time in the public sector and at a high level. And I'm always interested to hear about how those people who work in the public sector apply the entrepreneurial spirit to what they do. So maybe Peter, if you can just give us your take on why it's important to have that spirit, even though you're working for the government, and although you don't do that anymore, you're in corporate America now. When you were in the public sector as the Attorney General of New Jersey and as an AUSA, you pretty much had to build your own brand. Why is it important to bring that entrepreneurial spirit to the public sector as well?
Well, it is often lost on many in the public sector that it's called public service for a reason. It's not called a public career. It's not called public ownership. It's about service, love and service to the constituency whom you've been asked to serve. In the Attorney General's office in New Jersey, it's a little different than most attorneys generals in the country because about a third of the state government is in the office. You have the state police, you oversee the county prosecutors, you have your own criminal justice investigators and lawyers, you oversee about 600 civil lawyers, the Division on Civil Rights, Consumer Affairs, you license all professionals except lawyers, so there are 80 licensing agencies and boards. You have alcoholic beverage control, gaming enforcement, you police the casinos in Atlantic City, and you do background checks on everybody who works on the gaming floor. And you oversee homeland security coordination throughout the state. Now, why does an entrepreneurial spirit matter? The spirit that makes you imagine, that makes you envision a new way that government should work is an entrepreneurial spirit. You can get into any situation, whether your own business or whether you're working for someone else, and simply follow the status quo, and many do. But what separates the true achievers, the true innovators, is imagination, in my view, and also effort to implement what has been imagined. And so in government, let me give you an example. I sat at home one evening and I watched Blockbuster run some ads about no more late fees, and they showed people crying in the street and screaming in their homes and as if this were the second coming. And I looked at it and I said, well, this is too good to be true. And sure enough, it was too good to be true. As we drilled down in this program, we realized that, well, if you had the movie for more than 14 days and returned it, Blockbuster charged your credit card the value of what they thought the movie cost or the game. And when you brought it back, they gave you simply a store credit while that charge stayed on your credit card and you were paying interest on it, unbeknownst to you. Also, Blockbuster had something called a restock fee, which was $4.50, which was a fee for the store employee to do exactly what the store employee ought to be doing, and that is put the movie back in the plastic case and put it back on the shelf. Well, a late fee by any other name is still a late fee. And so we sued them and made them stop. And it ultimately cascaded to what you have now, Netflix taking over the world. By the way, just so you know, this was someone's bright idea in that company because they made something like $380 million a year from late fees alone, our late fees. So when you talk about the entrepreneurial spirit, you have to think about how can I use the tools of government, how can I use the resources of government to really be innovative? How can I use it to make sure that government is serving the people it ought to serve? How can I make sure that I'm looking at these institutions in a way that really makes them do what they were designed to do and maybe go beyond what they were designed to do? And so it requires some element of creativity. It also requires a bit of a team. because you cannot do it alone as much as you think you can at the outset. And so it requires both imagination and effort and just a dab of creativity.
Thank you, Peter.